In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome, everybody, on this Thursday night, April 23rd. So, I mean, look, not our national nightmare is over, but perhaps at least in Queens, those who adore the blue and orange of your New York Metropolitans. The 12-game losing streak, one of the longest in franchise history, despite having one of the highest payrolls right now in franchise history, or in baseball for that matter, is over. The Mets beat the quite mediocre forever Minnesota Twins 3-2 last night at Citi Field. And this is what it sounded like, almost like Game 7 of the World Series back in 1986. Cut number 13, go.
1-2 from Weaver to Buxton. He struck him out and the ball game is over. And for the first time in more than 2 weeks, the Mets can shake hands. That insidious 12-game losing streak has finally come to an end. Mets win it 3-2.
Mets all right.
Waiting 2 weeks for that last out right there.
Yeah, Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez on the call. SNY. Insidious 12-game losing streak. I mean, we are blessed to have Gary Cohen. Absolutely blessed. He is one of the finest baseball announcers I have ever heard. I mean, I loved, obviously, Jack Buck was my favorite. Vince Scully for the Dodgers forever. Obviously one of the best as well. Kind of, like the opposite of who the Yankees have on their play-by-play call. Sorry, the Michael Kay thing is just, talk about insufferable. Compared to Cohen, it's no joke. Now, I remember Michael Kay actually got angry because I think it was Cohen and Hernandez just kind of off the cuff said, this obviously is the best broadcasting team in New York right now. And I think they were being self-deprecating. I don't see them as being like ego kind of guys. But then Kay took very much offense to that and went on a rant on the air. Oh, but it's no contest. It really is no contest, even though I have a feeling that we won't be hearing too many dramatic calls in September and October, early October anyway, from the SNY team, given where the Metropolitans are right now in the standings. But then again, it's only April 23rd, so there's a very, very long way to go out in Queens and in Major League Baseball in general. Anyway, all right, fun stuff out of the way. A lot going on right now as far as the Iranian war seems to be changing on a daily basis as far as who's in charge in Iran. So that's kind of a big deal. We have to know who we're talking to. And what we're seeing now is that the IRGC is trying to run things in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. So while we've heard, and it's correct, that the U.S. has destroyed the Iranian Navy, all of it at the bottom of the sea right now, what the IRGC does is act more like the terror group that they are in terms of sending out very fast speedboats out to different cargo ships to terrorize and threaten them. So they're harder to track than, say, some sort of big naval ship. Now, all that said, Trump announcing today that he'll basically blow any of those ships completely out of the water the minute they see them going towards any cargo ship, spotted, identified, done. And we know this could happen because, well, we saw it in Venezuela with all those drug boats. Let's just say we've had some pretty good practice leading up until now. So this is where we are. We obviously have a situation where the IRGC is hanging on for dear life because now inflation in the Iranian Republic is now up to triple digits. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day because their ships still aren't getting in and out. That is 80% of their revenue. And that, of course, is oil. China being choked off as well. They are not happy about this. And the problem is that while China has a decent communication and relationship with the more political end of the Iranian regime, particularly the foreign minister, who appears to be somewhat moderate, the IRGC is operating in their own silo and just trying to extend this war for as long as possible. The problem is the IRGC is going to not have the money to pay their own military soon. And when that happens, I think that's when this thing finally comes to an end. 6 weeks in, it looked like we were going in a good direction last week. Now the IRGC throwing up this Hail Mary as far as attacking some cargo ships with small speedboats. But again, the U.S. military has proven that they will squash this effort as well. And then we'll have to see the next step as far as who actually takes over in the country. And are they people that we can work with? But either way, ballistic missile systems, nuclear missile capability has been destroyed by the U.S. military and Israel. And more importantly, if you stop having money going to Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis as far as threatening that region, through obviously Iranian proxies, well, then this probably was all worth it. Now, if this thing extends and keeps going in June, July, and the stock market wavers, right now the stock market is approaching 50,000, so that does not appear to be the case. But either way, the midterms all come down to the economy is stupid. And if we still have $4 gas prices, if we still have inflation going in a direction that we don't want, I mean, 3% ain't bad. 3% is quite good when you compare it to the 9% that it was under Joe Biden. But at the same time, if people still think that prices are too high, affordability just isn't where it should be, as Trump promised, then Democrats, as they've shown in some of these special elections, these off-year elections, probably will take back the House. And it doesn't help, by the way, that we had that situation in Virginia, as far as the redistricting of that state that turned a 6-5 state, Democrat, Republican in Congress, to a 10-1 state. 90% of Congress in Virginia will be represented by Democrats, despite that state being pretty much close to 50-50. Even the vote in the referendum to change the redistricting map, which is utterly ridiculous, was about 50-50, 51-49. And yet 49% of those voters, all those Republicans in that state, will be disenfranchised because of this power grab by Democrats, who are completely unapologetic and downright giddy about it, by the way. Here is cut number three. Cut number three. This will be AOC acting like the drunken sophomore that she always acts like on social media. Here was her grin, ear-to-ear reaction to the GOP's objection to what happened in Virginia, that power grab. Cut number three, go.
Around ethical campaign.
What do you make of Republicans saying that Virginia, you guys getting Democrats getting 10
Wow. Yeah, this phony does these fight the oligarchy tours, right? Talking about no kings, saying how we have to battle fascism. What happened in Virginia is literally a no kings. It's a kings thing. I mean, it's the thing that no kings was protesting again in all those rallies, right? No power grabs where the people don't have a say. You can say, well, Virginia voters voted on it. Well, yeah. I mean, we're talking millions upon millions of dollars was poured in from George Soros supported groups, flooded the airwaves, including ads by Barack Obama. They lied about what Republicans were doing in other states as far as rightful redistricting, which we saw in Texas and seeing in Texas, which will probably happen in Florida, where those are profoundly red states, definitive margins won by President Trump in 2024. So yeah, if you're going to redistrict there, that makes sense. And oh, by the way, Florida and Texas aren't going to leave Democrats with just one seat, as Virginia is doing. So completely unbalanced. But at the same time, you got to hear this, because I think this pretty much, let's put it this way, underscores exactly what I am trying to say here as far as Democrats and no kings. This is cut number 4. Go.
Oh my gosh, besties, no kings for Trump, but we redraw Virginia's map so our party rules like kings forever. 45% Republicans get 1 seat. That's how we fight fascism.
Period. We scream no kings at Trump, but redraw Virginia until Democrats are the kings. 45% Republican, one lonely rep. We don't care what voters want, our monarchy win.
Hi, bestie. No kings for Trump, but we want kings for us. We twisted Virginia's map, ignored voters, and gave 45% Republicans just one rep. One-party Democratic rule. Duh. Sorry, not sorry. No kings, only for Trump. We redraw Virginia so our party becomes kings. 45% Republicans crammed into one seat. Our fascism guarantees permanent power, honey.
We yell no kings at Trump, but redraw Virginia for Democratic kings forever. Voters be damned. 45% Republicans get one rep. Our special fascism just hits different, bestie.
Slay, no kings for Trump, but kings for our party. We gerrymandered Virginia, 45% Republican, and boom, one seat. Democratic kings decide everything now. Fighting fascism, sweetie?
Very well done. Amazing the type of videos that you can see put together so well on social media. And of course, we try to play them on this show. Meanwhile, there's an effort right now by Chuck Schumer to defund ICE. Yep. I mean, we played a clip last night of, who was it, Patty Murray, Senator, Washington State, saying that she's never heard one Democrat say that they ever wanted to abolish ICE. And then we played like something like 6 or 7 straight clips of Democrats saying just that. And I probably could have found 70 if I wanted to. But now Schumer, again, this is a guy, just go back and watch the videos. In the 90s, for example, when he would talk about how illegal immigration is a huge threat to this country and how fraud was being perpetrated under the guise of illegal immigration and how you need all these IDs when you should vote. And he was totally for all of this, including strong borders. But now, of course, Chuck trying to hang on for dear life as the Senate minority leader. So he will say and do whatever the left wing of the party commands him to do because he fears them so much. Because obviously, if AOC decided, hey, I'm not going to run for president, I think I'll run for senator of New York instead, she would win. I'm not saying because she's a great candidate and a great person, just because Chuck is that unpopular. Almost anybody could run against Chuck Schumer. Bill de Blasio could run against Chuck Schumer at this point and probably win. Just saying. But anyway, Markwayne Mullin is the new head of the Department of Homeland Security. Tough guy, former MAA, he meant to say fighter, out of Oklahoma. And, well, this was interesting because this was on America's Newsroom today on Fox News, a show I like to go on from time to time that I'm fortunate enough to get invited to go on to. And usually it's Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino. And instead today it was Bill Malugin and Dana who are anchoring. And Bill, who has been at the border pretty much for years, covering that story until it didn't become a story anymore because there are no illegals passing into the country and being released into the country. He was anchoring. And it's supposed to be kind of a straight, sober news show. But Markwayne Mullin was not having what Chuck Schumer was selling and just goes off in cut number 12. Go.
Makes my ears red. It takes a lot to get me upset. But Chuck Schumer, no one respects you. The definition of a lying scumbag politician, that is you. You would be the definition if you Googled you right now. I mean, why don't he just come out and be honest with American people? He wants to have open borders. If you want to defund the Customs and Border Protection Agency, if you want to defund ICE, who is in there arresting the criminals that the laws were passed by you, you had time to change those during the Biden administration. You didn't. Because you're for open borders and you're for the criminals running amok in our cities. And for you to say that is so disrespectful to the law enforcement that is out there protecting you, because he has a detail with him. How about he walks around these city streets without a detail? I wonder how safe he would feel.
It's hard to argue with the guy. Lying scumbag. I mean, I think we're at a point of no return at this point. The way that Democrats talk about Republicans, which is far worse than anything you just heard from Markwayne Mullin. And I think Markwayne Mullin was just being as candid as possible because this guy, obviously now in charge of Homeland Security, obviously wants ICE to succeed as far as getting illegals out of here, especially criminal illegals. And the fact that Chuck Schumer does a 180 on his own positions and now wants to defund ICE, therefore keep all those criminals and those illegals in the country where this could get Americans killed. Sex trafficking continues. Rapes continue. Yeah, I'd be pissed off too. But I'm just saying that I don't think we'll ever see a time again where Republicans and Democrats ever work together. I think things are power grab at this point and take what you can get, whether it be through redistricting, whether it means ending the Electoral College, whether it means blowing up the Supreme Court through impeachment or through expansion, whether it means going to, I don't know, add D.C. and Puerto Rico as states and adding 4 senators to the Democratic side. All these things now are in play. And it's about now, at this point, one-party rule, especially Democrats. That's what they want, and that's what they will do if they succeed in the midterms and in the 2028 election. Anyway, exit stage left music playing right now, but we got so much more of this show that you're going to want to stick around for, including the late, great Norm Macdonald talking to Jerry Seinfeld in a clip that we unearthed here on Bill Cosby, and it's just perfect. This is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. Back with more in just a moment.
Down a drink. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
All right. Thomas Petty, Gainesville, Florida, I believe. Late great Tom Petty. I saw him in concert back at The Rock about 10 years ago, and he was incredible. And I remember saying, wow, he looks the same. And then, unfortunately, I think a life of substance abuse may have ended his life a little bit earlier than it should have happened. But anyway, let's not bring down this show, shall we? Let's go to Cut 15, because we mentioned AOC before, and you would think that she's some sort of rock star, even among Democrats. But here is Chris Cuomo, excuse me, I always do that, going off on her in a way that, boy, he's not happy with the AOC brand for the Democratic Party. Cut 15, go.
AOC has done nothing meaningful in Congress. She's done it all on social media. And she's one of your leading names in who's going to be president. Do you not get this concept of 80-20? She's an 80-20 loser all day long. Why? She is clearly catering to a minority. She's her own version of MAGA. She's looking for an outraged enclave. She's not about the majority. She's not about consensus. She's not about solutions. She wants government to give you everything. She's a socialist in a capitalist society. What are you thinking?
Wow. Good stuff there from Chris Cuomo. Let's hear more of that. Yeah, I don't think AOC is going to run for president in the end. She wants to be a social media star. She wants a celebrity aspect of this. She has no ability to debate or go outside of her little bubble. So, yeah, in the end, run for Senate in New York, I could see that. President, probably not. Probably. Don't save the tape. This is Joe Concha. That is Tom Petty. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
back in, this is like early 80s, late 70s, Petty, I believe. But again, it's amazing the staying power that Petty had for so long in rock and roll, and he is missed to this day. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. So, Zohran Mamdani not happy about World Cup prices. And this is what I don't get at all. $150 it's going to cost you if you want to go from Penn Station to the Meadowlands, MetLife Stadium, if you are going to World Cup games there. All right, remember, the World Cup is going to be played throughout North America. That means several American cities from New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and then other cities in Canada and in Mexico. So but it's such a big tournament that there'll be plenty of games out at MetLife, including the championship that usually happens in early July. So all of that said, if you want to go, I think it's something like, I'd have to track it exactly, but I think it's maybe 8 miles. It's probably less from Penn Station to East Rutherford, New Jersey, where MetLife is. And yet, it's going to cost you $150 to get on a New Jersey Transit train, which, look, you're not exactly going to be able to sit down and order some champagne and, enjoy the ride through the swamp. I've taken New Jersey Transit for years, and these trains are bare bones, right? There's nothing offered in terms of food or drink. The bathrooms are sparse and not exactly clean, and the trains are impossibly slow. So, all that said, it's not exactly a $150 joyride. It ain't fun. And the fact that it normally costs something like, I think, $12 to go from Penn Station out to MetLife to see a Giant or a Jet game or a concert, for example. Now that's going up, obviously 12 times over plus. And the reason why is because apparently for all the things you have to do to make sure that the trains are able to carry that amount of traffic, that amount of volume, New Jersey Transit has to spend millions of dollars as a result. And of course, they will pass it on to you, the customer. Now, here's what I want to know. Why is transit in Philadelphia free to go to the World Cup? Because they want to be a nice, welcoming city of brotherly love, I guess, until they beat up Santa Claus one year at a Cowboys game. Long story. Cheered, actually, Michael Irvin when Irvin was concussed and out cold on the turf at Veterans Stadium. You want to talk about fans that are people you don't want to get into a fight with? I mean, forget Ranger fans. Nobody has anything on Philly. But besides the point, it's so there, as far as transit is concerned, they're doing something to make it as easy for people as possible, right? Let's see. Philadelphia will offer free post-match transit on its SEPTA Broad Street line. All right, that's the major one. 2026 World Cup fans leaving Lincoln Financial Field. That's nice. And meanwhile, here you have to pay $150 per ticket. So the complaint is that FIFA is passing the costs on to New Jersey Transit instead of them helping to pay for it while they take in billions of dollars in revenue from the biggest tournament in the world, the biggest sporting event in the world, and that is the World Cup. But why is New Jersey stuck with the bill and Philly ain't? What's going on here? Who negotiated this? Oh, that's right. Phil Murphy, the governor, should have demanded and been a little bit more, steadfast in saying, guys, you got to pony up some things here for our security and to make sure that we have additional trains and all the things that go into that. And instead it's all right, well, we're so happy that the World Cup's here that we'll take any deal. And that's great. So now Mamdani, of course, is complaining about this, about World Cup prices and how people are cut out from going to the games. Well, sorry. What is your solution, dude? Exactly. It's supply and demand. I'm sorry. Whether it be the Super Bowl, whether it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, World Series, NBA Finals, this is the way it works. All right? You don't give out hundreds, thousands of free tickets so, the lesser folks in terms of finances can see them. I don't like it either, but it's the way it is and always has been. So he's great at complaining about things, but I never hear a solution. Okay, from a financial standpoint, what is your solution? And again, he can never answer the question of how you're going to pay for stuff. Anyway, here's Mamdani on World Cup prices. Cut number 16, go.
On the World Cup, are you concerned about the $150 fare to and from MetLife Stadium, especially now given that places like Philadelphia have announced free transit?
Yeah, look, I think I've long been clear that I am concerned about the ways in which this World Cup is pricing out so many working class supporters of the game. Soccer as a game is born out of the working class. And when you're looking at the ticket prices to attend the game, you're looking at the cost of getting to the game, it is something that is out of reach for many. And I also understand where the decision that New Jersey Transit has made, the decision coming from New Jersey elected officials, they are also reckoning with the fact that a lot of the cost has been placed upon them. And all of this while FIFA is anticipated to have about $11 billion in revenue over the course of this tournament. So I am continuing to be hopeful of ways that we can make this a more affordable experience for everyone. And we're going to look to show that New York City will be exactly that.
Okay, we're going to look for ways to do that. What ways? Like, that's the follow-up question. How are you going to do that? The tournament starts in less than 2 months. Oh, by the way, you want to bring up the fact that a Democrat, somebody in your party, not a socialist, I guess, is the reason why $150 train tickets are happening right now, or that, through the roof as far as you want to be in the stadium. Again, I never hear a solution. I hear a lot of complaining. But, let's bring them some cheese with that wine, because that's all it is. Just wine, and that's unfair. Okay, great. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to pay for it? Just like, again, with the whole, which drives me crazy, universal child care, utterly ridiculous. How are you going to pay for that? We're talking like tens of billions of dollars. And he's like, well, we'll have it for 2-year-olds by the time my first term's over in 4 years. Okay, there are other ages, too, that fall under that, and you still haven't explained how you're going to pay for it. Meanwhile, I found this interesting that we have Tim Walz, who, this guy, so happy. I mean, he's not running for governor again, right? He was the worst vice presidential candidate we have ever seen in our lifetimes. And yet, oh, by the way, billions of dollars in fraud in Minnesota, which fell and happened under his watch. So what does he do? He runs a social media because he's so happy that his friend Jimmy Kimmel is going to have him on Wednesday night. And this is what this sounded like. Cut number 6, go.
Hey, everybody, Governor Walz here. I'm getting ready to get a little bit here to go on our favorite late night show with Jimmy Kimmel. Tell Minnesota's story. If you get a chance, tune in tonight. And, of course, every night tune in to Jimmy. But tonight we'll tell you about Minnesota.
Wow. Who needs Rickles, Sinatra, Walter Matthau? We're going to play in a moment on Carson. When you got Tim Walz talking about what they're doing in Minnesota, that's entertainment. ABC and Disney, you're such idiots. Re-signing Jimmy Kimmel. So what? Your featured guest is Tim friggin' Walz? Oh. So anyway, you can only imagine how this went. Here's Walz, asked by Kimmel in the most gentle way possible. Hey, a lot of fraud in your state. Seemed to be happening for a long time. Did you not notice it at first? Or what's going on? And of course, Tim Walz pivots to you-know-who. Cut number 10, go.
In all of this is these multiple cases of benefits fraud that were happening. Now, I want to ask you, did it take an extraordinary long time for you to know that was happening?
No.
Is that just something that has been spread?
It happens in other states. We were going back to many of these people were prosecuted in 2021. He used it as an excuse because it was a perfect thing to do to say there was fraud. Imagine that. Coming from this guy, he would know fraud where it was at.
Yeah.
So used it to...
He's like Sigmund Fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that fraud in my state? Well, let's talk about Trump. Make jokes about that, I guess. And then he said, oh, fraud happens everywhere. Okay, so that excuses it, right? That's just okay. Unbelievable that is entertainment on ABC in late night. And meanwhile, I'd love to do this. So we just played that. That's what you'd be treated to if you tuned in last night. Well, what if we went back to, this is 1981, and Walter Matthau, the late, great Walter Matthau. This is him telling a joke. This is after Matthau had to get kind of like a LASIK surgery, whatever it was called then, on his eyes. And he's talking about how he's in his hospital room and he had to actually share it with somebody else. We all know that there's a curtain between two people. And Matthau can't see anything because he's recovering. But this is what he hears as far as what his hospital roommate is ordering in terms of food. And it's a good joke. It's a good story, but it's the Matthau voice. And just the conversational part of late night that we're so missing right now, when it wasn't in your face Democratic politics every night. This is cut number 11. Go.
So things are much better now.
Oh, God, yeah. I was in a marvelous room with another fellow who said to there was a very cold-looking nurse, very stern, and he said to her, she said, well, what are you going to have for breakfast? And he said, could I have, some orange juice, but you know the little cups they use for the urine specimen? He says, could you empty one of those out and put the orange juice in that cup?
Oh.
He says, because when I like to smell a little urine, he says, when and she's looking at me. What is this guy talking about? When I drink the orange, he says, and could you let me have 2 eggs? I like them runny. Like, don't maybe put them on the grill maybe for 4, maybe 3 seconds the most. And don't use butter. Use Crisco. Or if you have some Pennzoil. And this nurse is staring at him. He says, and give me some bacon. Some bacon. I want it raw, if possible. I want raw bacon, and I want coffee left over from last week. She says, what are you talking about? I can't serve you a breakfast like that. He says, well, you did yesterday.
Oh. That's perfect. That's great. See, the delivery. It's deliberate. You don't know quite where it's going, and that voice. I mean, I watched Bad News Bears with my son not too long ago, and his Buttermaker, the drunken manager of a Little League team, just a tremendous performance. I actually coach my son's Little League team right now without the beers and the coolers and all that fun stuff. But I totally relate to that movie, especially now. As, by the way, I am broadcasting from Disney tonight because, well, A, I don't take days off, and B, got to get the kids away when they're on spring break. And boy, it's expensive here. Oh, man. Do you realize that it's $800 a day for my family of 4 to go to Disney parks? I'm on day 3. There won't be a day 4. Believe me. This is why I have like 4 jobs, right? Washington Examiner, I'm a columnist. Got some best-selling books, working on my next one for HarperCollins and Fox. Obviously, Fox News contributor on there, on the air a lot there. And then this radio show. So, yeah, you have to work 4 jobs in order just to afford the Disney experience alone, which I understand some of you out there are like, oh, it's woke. How can you go there? I don't witness or did not see a thing in terms of the woke stuff. It is also the cleanest place in America by far. You will not find one stitch of garbage anywhere. Everything is clean. It's really remarkable. But boy, it is not cheap. But this will be our last day and night here, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on whether American Express is going to send a hitman after me at this point for the bill that he, or at least the company, is about to get. Anyway, you got to hear this because I talked about this before, but I think it's really worth playing. This is Norm Macdonald, the late great, obviously, SNL, Weekend Update, Turd Ferguson. He was on the old fake Jeopardy skits that were on there with Will Ferrell, where he was just tremendous playing Burt Reynolds. But here he is having a conversation with Jerry Seinfeld, and they're talking about Bill Cosby. And just Norm, you want to talk just like Matthau, can just deadpan things. And this is why I think he was one of the all-time greats. This is cut number 14. Go.
Do you think Cosby's legacy will be hurt?
Yeah.
You do, huh? I mean, there was a comedian, Patton Oswalt, he told me, I think the worst part of the Cosby thing was the hypocrisy. And I disagreed.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. I thought it was the raping. That's my feeling. Most rapists are hypocrites. You don't meet many go, I like raping, and I know it's not politically correct, but by God, people go, well, he's not being a hypocrite, and that's the worst part.
It's the voice, too, right? The most distinctive voice in comedy outside of Dave Chappelle, I think. And Maniscalco, I think, is awesome as well. But, yeah, it's not the hypocrisy. I think it was all the raping. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. And now we hear Eric Swalwell, the allegations, and they keep piling up, that he drugged women, and then they would wake up and he would be on top of them, choking them. Oh, man. Talk about a fall from grace. 2 weeks ago, he was the odds-on favorite to be the next California governor. Now, you could find Edward Snowden before you find Eric Swalwell in public, and that is a blessing for all of us who are sane and sober. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is Concha at Night. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. Surprised we didn't go with Running Down a Dream, but maybe that's overplayed. Maybe on the way out, Mr. Kevin, we'll go with Running Down a Dream. Probably Petty's best song all time? Probably. Yeah. Oh, American Girl. What am I saying? Anyway, there is an election that's coming up in the formerly great state of California. And we had several Democrats on stage with Steve Hilton, who is currently the front runner right now, giving some very interesting answers here as far as grading Gavin Newsom on homelessness in the state, which is the highest in the nation by far. Newsom has thrown tens upon tens of billions of dollars at this problem, and it only gets worse. But these Democrats are so afraid of offending Gavin's supporters, I guess, that, well, the grades here are quite hilarious as far as Gavin is concerned. This is cut number 7, and Katie Porter's answer. Go.
Ms. Porter, we're going to begin with you. You recently gave the governor a solid A- when it comes to his overall job performance. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness.
No! B for brutal. Are you kidding me? When you have the highest homeless rate in the country 2 times over, next to the next closest state, no, that is an F- or whatever grade is below that. And she gave Gavin Newsom an A overall. Highest unemployment rate in the country, highest gas prices in the country, highest poverty rate in the country, more people moving out of California than any other state in the country. Fraud is rampant. You're giving him an A? A for asinine. I mean, that is unbelievable. All right. Xavier Becerra, who has no shot, but nonetheless, he's running as well on the Democratic side. Here, he gives his grade on Gavin on homelessness, and the tag to the grade that he gives is the best part of this. Cut number 8, go.
What grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A.
So we're grading on effort now. Of course. Oh, this is just the best unintentional comedy ever. Tom Steyer, who's worth billions upon billions of dollars. So, of course, Bernie Sanders endorsed him because, wait, I thought Bernie was against billionaires and oligarchies and all that fun stuff. Well, anyway, here's Steyer. This is unbelievable. In California, there have been several fatal accidents as a result of commercial driver's licenses, CDLs, being given out to illegals who don't speak English and therefore don't understand the signage on roads, and people have died as a result of this. But this is cut 9. Steyer, when asked, should proficiency requirements for truckers be enforced in California? Would you do that if you were governor? Here's his answer. Cut number 9, go.
Mr. Steyer, where do you draw the line on this? Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced, even if it means that some of them will probably lose their jobs? You have 60 seconds.
Look, I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stop. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal.
Racial profiling.
And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal.
You've got to be kidding. It's not about racial profiling. It's, do you speak the language or not? Therefore, do you know how to read a sign? When you're driving an 18-wheeler and you could kill somebody even by bumping into their car. And if you're watching this, you're a Californian and you're a Democrat, but you're moderate and you're open-minded and you have some common sense, I don't see how you don't vote for Steve Hilton over the Katie Porters, Xavier Becerra's, Tom Steyer's of the world. This has been Concha at Night. We're back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country. Until then, 2 words from you from Disney. Bye-bye.